p.m. and then I get it done and I'm like, oh, it's 5 a.m, son of a bitch.
Yeah, you're nocturnal.
I am. It's actually a problem.
You're definitely the most nocturnal of the group, and I think I'm the least nocturnal.
You're the least. So, like, if I'm left to my own devices naturally, I would never see the sun. Ever.
That's not a good thing, probably. Your body needs that.
Here's the thing. Because of other medications I have for my autoimmune disorders, I'm actually more UV sensitive than a regular ginger.
Right.
So, like, it's a problem.
But that doesn't mean you don't need sun at all.
Let me see it in, like, one of those little...
You just need it quicker.
Tangelos.
Yeah, I just...
Your vitamins.
I have a pretty diverse diet. I get my vitamins and whatnot. It's fine. What? You're staring at me. What?
Nothing.
There was judgment.
There was no judgment. There was just... I'm pretty sure humans have evolved to, like, use the sun. So, you know.
Look, in ye olde ancient times, before we had actual, like, society and housing and things, and we were working in little hunter-gatherer groups, somebody had to stay up and tend the fire.
Sure.
That was my job.
Sure. They still saw the sun.
As it came up and as it went down.
Yeah.
They saw it.
Yeah.
At least they fucking saw it.
I mean, I will see the sun when, you know, it's summertime and the day is long, so therefore I'm forced to. Wintertime, I'm just like, eternal darkness. Excellent.
Also, I guess we also evolved to not just sleep once a day.
Yeah.
Like, we're supposed to take naps.
Yeah.
Rests through the hottest part of the day.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, I found if I'm going through a busy time and I can't have the 8 hours of allotted sleep time like doctors recommend, as long as I do it in a 4-hour increment, I'm totally fine. Completely fine. But if I do less than 4 hours, it's like I wake up in the middle of the REM cycle and I'm just fucked. So it's like...
I can't remember. I know there's a bunch of alternative...
I've done that alternative sleep cycle where you, like, sleep for 4 hours and then you function for 4 to 5 hours and then you take, like, a little nap and then you do another 4 to 5 hours and then you sleep for 4. So you're getting 2 full REM cycles with, like, little cat naps in between. That's been okay. I'll tell you, a 9 to 5 job does not appreciate that sleep cycle whatsoever.
No.
Yeah, that's a biphasic.
Yeah.
When you sleep twice a day.
I'm pretty sure my bosses got mad at me because I did my biphasic sleep, like little 4-hour increment sleeps, not on the clock. But on my lunch break, I would take a little cat nap at my desk, but I wouldn't announce when I was doing my lunch break. I was just like, okay, it's lunch break time, do my little cat nap. And then people were just like, hey, so you sleeping at your desk? And I'm just like, yeah.
On my lunch.
I'm like...
You're not paying me for it. Leave me alone.
It's like, but my numbers are good. Like, all the lines go up. Why do you give a fuck? I don't understand.
I think you should try the Uberman sleep schedule.
What the fuck's the Uberman sleep schedule?
No.
It's 6 30-minute naps. You take a 30-minute nap every 4 hours.
I couldn't do that.
It's supposed to be the least possible that you can sleep in a day and still function. Because it equals about 3 hours of sleep total.
But then why is it called the Uberman sleep?
Because you don't need your super for not having to sleep.
Superman. You're the most efficient possible.
I'm pretty sure that's how you meet the Hat Man with no drugs.
Cool.
I am going to try it then now that... I don't have a job right now. I can figure that out.
If you wanna organize a luncheon with the Hat Man, I suppose you can do that.
I know lack of sleep is supposed to be a trigger for my epilepsy, but that might just be part of the way to meet the Hat Man. So,
Hunter, I don't want this to be the path in which we decide to become a mage podcast.
I'll have to do that in my own free time then. Speaking of the podcast, though, hi and welcome to Blank Bodies, a Vampire the Masquerade V5, tabletop, and horror podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and as always, I'm joined by...
John.
You're staring at me very judgmentally again. It's Sarah. Hi, hello, hi.
It's not judgmental. It's fear for the future.
You should, for the future that was the past, but is also the future. We're going to be crying and screaming and potentially peeing just a little because we're covering the week of nightmares.
It's spooky.
It's spooky.
It happened at night.
In a part of the world.
And there were a lot of mares.
Yeah,
there were other parts of the world where it was daytime.
Yeah, it's not night everywhere all at once. I learned that.
Yeah.
At some point.
That's not true.
I will say one of the source books for this, Time of Thin Blood's in the back if you want some, like, fun haha gameplay notes. they have information about what you should be considering if you're running the Week of Nightmares as a scenario for your tabletop game, including accounting for time zone differences.
Perfect.
Because they're like, most of our games happen to be set in Europe and in the Americas, but this event happens in India, so those are different parts of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So shit's gonna happen at different times of the day.
Nope.
And I was like, oh,
Fair.
fair, that is how that works. So if you haven't caught on, we will be covering the Week of Nightmares. This will be an episode where we talk about a rough timeline of events as best as we could put them together using the lore from the previous editions, along with notes of things that have been mentioned in the 5th edition.
Yeah, it was a bad time.
It was a bad time. This will also be covering the event from the perspectives of a few other splats. This will include explaining some of the wider cosmology of the world of darkness. If there's something that interests you, we do have a bit more information about that on episode 30, Tourist Guide to the Supernaturals.
Yeah,
Go check it out.
One.
Yeah, that was one that Hunter researched and
Do it.
spearheaded.
I read like 3 whole books.
Oh
Listen to it.
So proud of him.
Go on.
That's like a whole year for me sometimes. So.
I do.
One
need
episode.
We need to get these numbers up, so...
Pause this podcast. Go listen to that one. All right, welcome back. I'm glad that you have all the context you need now.
Okay, cool. I do want to note this will be a tough line. This will be a timeline with a rough approximation of the events that's pulled from several canon texts. We are not claiming this is the official timeline, so if I get any but actuallys, I'll find you.
Direct your butt actuallys to me
Yes.
so that I can promptly just ignore them and not respond.
Give them to John. So if you find anything that I say in the timeline that you don't like, change it as you will at your table.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're also laid out 4 scenarios, so they're literally not set in stone depending on what your players did when you ran them.
Yes, and also what splat you're playing, because some of the things change a little bit. So, woohoo. Content warning. There'll be discussions of violence, war, nuclear weapons, ecological disaster, mass slaughter, madness, and other World of Darkness things.
Like vampires.
Many other things. If any of that is not something you're ready for in your brain space right now, you can skip this and come back later.
Like mummies.
Mummy does come up.
No one's ready for mummies.
Mummy comes up. When I say we touch all the splats, I'm saying we're touching all the splats. So
I pumped my fist at mummies. That's why John was giggling there.
sources for this episode is Time of Thin Blood, Vampire the Masquerade 20th Anniversary Core, V5 Core Book, V5 Player's Guide, Kindred of the East, Beckett's Jihad Diary, Gehenna War, Clan Book Ravnos Revised, Mage the Ascension 20th Anniversary. I finally got there, guys.
Yay.
Wraith the Oblivion 20th Anniversary, Changeling the Dreaming 20th Anniversary, Mummy 2nd Ed, Demon the Fallen, Demon Days of Fire, Time of Judgment Ascension, Wraith Ends of Empire, Mage Horizon's Stronghold of Hope, and then there's also Time of Judgment Gehenna, Time of Judgment Apocalypse, Mage the Infinite Tapestry, and then some stats from the website Macro Trends.
Nice.
I think that's 23. I'm not gonna lie, I was counting and then I forgot the sign language for some of the numbers and I got caught up on trying to remember the sign language for some of the numbers
no.
and then I lost track of the actual count. I think it's 23.
Cool. So, the way I've split up the script a little bit, because it's our 100th episode.
What?
So, in honor of that, I had to break the format.
We're trying something new, folks.
Yeah. So, we're doing some new things. Let us know if you like it. So, up front, we're going to front load with some terminology. Some of this is going to be review. Some of it's going to be new for those of you who are not used to the World of Darkness. If you already are an old hat and you know what the fuck's going on, feel free to skip ahead to when we actually talk about the timeline.
Don't do that. Instead, listen to our voices.
Yes.
Our beautiful, luscious voices.
But if you're here for a refresher and a learning moment, gather around, children, and sit down and listen up. I don't know why I went school counselor with that. I'm so sorry. So, review terms. Zapathasura. This is the entity that is the Ravnos antediluvian.
Old guy.
Yes.
Or gal.
Kwaijin. These are vampire-like entities that have been chromatically cursed to be outside of the natural order and feed off of life energies.
Kind of cool.
Kind of neat. Kind of metal.
They are the kindred of the East from that book title.
Yes.
We referred to them in the past as both, so I wanted to...
That is fair. And then we also had the Bodhisattva.
Bodhisattva?
Damn it. I had this, and then we had a delay, and then I lost it. Back again. Bodhisattva. So these are the Kwaijin who have reached the peak of their personal dharma. Dharmas are paths of enlightenment in Kindred of the East. These Kwaijin often spend their time waiting for their own deaths and aiding their less enlightened peers until that time arrives.
That's really bleak if that's what happens when you become fully enlightened. Now I just wait to die.
Yeah, you're like, I solved it. I guess I'm gonna help you guys who haven't figured it out yet. So there's also a guru, which is a mortal human who could shift into a werewolf form.
We did a whole month on them.
We did a whole month on them.
Those guys.
We'll probably
Silly
do it
little
again.
guys.
We'll probably do it again, because there'll be more werewolf content.
Funny little dudes.
The Umbra. This is the spirit world that exists as a kind of metaphorical mirror of the material world. This reflective plane reacts to what is happening in the physical, as well as encounters by those who cross over into its realm.
Not as fun of a little guy.
No. I mean, yes, but no.
Very cool. But...
It's cool, but ah.
Yeah.
And then there is the Gauntlet. This is the veil that separates the material world from the spiritual world. If you play a lot of Hekata characters, you deal with this a lot, and you call it the veil. Everybody else calls it the fucking Gauntlet.
Okay.
Fucking
Fair.
Got it? Cool.
Hekata.
Mage.
Special.
What is a mage? A mage is a mortal human who has awakened and are capable of some form of magic.
Okay. That's easy enough.
Yeah.
I will say there are humans who are not mages who are also capable of magic.
But they're not awakened
Yes.
because they don't have an avatar.
Yes.
Cool.
And we will do a mage month at some point, and I will explain all of that.
You
But
guys have gotten enough warning to get me drug money for Mage Month.
I'll write the episodes, and she can get high.
Hell
Perfect.
yeah.
Off we go.
Sarah gets a vacation. So, there are many types of mages. We're going to discuss them in two major subgroups. There are traditions. Traditions mages have a focus on the mystical arts, believing they can warp reality per their paradigm through use of magic.
Cool.
So they have their ooky spooky your wizard classic. Wizard classic. Hopefully that makes sense. And then we have technocrats. These are mages that reject the concepts of magic, believing that their works are utterly scientific, known as a quote-unquote enlightened science. And much of their workings have taken as consensual by the masses because their magic isn't magic, it's science. So when they do magic, everyone just goes, oh, that's a cool gadget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're really just a different tradition.
Yes. They start...
Yes
historically,
and
they
no.
started as one of the traditions, and then kind of just blew up and became so big that now all the other traditions are working against them because they're too powerful.
Got it.
This is also very, I will say, to all our mage fans, this is a simplified version because we haven't covered it yet.
We haven't covered it. I am having to do a bare bones baby bat's first intro to mage just so we can get through this fucking episode.
I could do a whole episode on just what consensus is. We're just not there yet.
Yeah. So last little note about the technocrats. So while many within the technocratic sect work to maintain this consensus of reality, they will often do it through systemic violence.
Great job, guys.
That's why through a lot of the canon, they're the bad guys. Okay, cool. Moving on. Paradox. This is a force made up of the collective unconsciousness known as consensual reality that will react to quote-unquote correct mage workings that damage or alter this consensus too much.
It's basically what the majority of people believe is consensus, and if it goes against that, it is paradox.
Yeah, and the more you fuck up people's understanding of reality, the worse the paradox is.
Yeah, and this affects all mages, technocrats and tradition mages. They all have to deal with paradox.
Yeah, as I lovingly like to recall it, the you done goofed force.
So, like, if a nuclear explosion were centered on you, and then you walked out of it like, oh, sorry, guys, that would be a lot of paradox on you.
Oh, God. Immediate paradox demon, if not other effects.
Got it.
So,
You could argue that because enough people know about technology, paradox is worse for technocrats now, because they're like, most people are like, you can't shoot a laser out of a phone.
yeah.
Whereas, like,
in the 70s through, like, the 90s.
people just been like, I guess technology can do stuff.
Yeah.
Just,
Whereas
wow, the wonders of Bell Laboratories.
Oh,
And now it's just like everyone's mom has an iPhone. They get it.
right.
Though, depending, you could argue because of AI and videos. Yeah, I'm not getting sidetracked. Anyways, Wraith. A Wraith is a soul of a deceased human being that manifests and wanders the Shadowlands.
We talked about the Shadowlands a little bit in our Werewolf.
And also Deep Dive of the Abyss.
Yes, they came up both those places.
Yeah. So, the Tempest, which we did talk about in the Deep Dive of the Abyss episode, but the Tempest is an impossibly large ocean within the underworld.
Fun.
So, the Sunless Sea, for those who need to know, is a portion of the Tempest that has no light, save for whatever lights are carried aboard ships and sparse beacons. So, it's part of the sea where you can't see shit. Cool. Changeling, we have not really talked about them.
We talked about them in our tourist guide.
Tourist
but that's
guide,
about
yes. Yeah. So changelings are mortal humans born with a fey heritage that they have to maintain a balance with, lest they either fall into madness or despair.
Great. Keep it up, guys.
This is following Changeling the Dreaming logic. I love Changeling the Lost from what I've played so far, but that runs completely differently. So
It's not canon here. So.
As far as I could tell, no. So we're going with Dreaming logic. Speaking of which, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, it's definitely not canon during the Week of Nightmares as we know it.
Yes.
They could do a C5 that changes things up, but for as far as we know and how this affects things, it is definitely the dreaming.
Yes. So, speaking of the dreaming, this is a plane where whimsy, fairy tales, myth, and concepts exist within a primal realm of sensation, emotion, and fantasy that is linked with the material world. The removal or destruction of one side will affect the other.
Okay.
So, if you understand Alice in Wonderland, you're good. I feel
Got
like that's
it.
a good approximation.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Okay, cool. Demon. We've touched on them in the Salubri episodes and the Deep Dive of the Abyss episodes.
Yeah, they come up in passing a lot, but...
Yeah! So, demons are fallen angels who have been cast out and imprisoned within the Abyss. These entities find refuge within human bodies with weakened souls.
Neat.
So they're kind of like Wraiths in that they exist in the Abyss and they can pop into a human body, but they are a different thing that does that.
Yeah, they have no mortal origin. They just will ride a human skin suit when it surfaces them.
Yeah.
I was taking a small pause so John could get water.
I don't have ice this time.
Oh, hell yeah. I do, though. But the last and not least of our review panel, Mummy.
Yay.
Mummies are immortal beings whose bodies have been preserved to be used for self-resurrection, often for the purpose of maintaining cosmic balance or servicing some divine entity. Did I nail it, Hunter? Does that seem good?
I think so.
Hell yeah.
I thought we were going to talk about the people who gave birth to us.
Wilma has nothing to do with this.
She's not your mommy? I've literally heard you call her mum before.
I call her mum most of the time.
Yeah.
I'm too grown for mummy. That's weird.
Mummies are cool. They're kind of trapped in the cycle of death and rebirth, and they're maybe the closest thing in Old World of Darkness we get to like good guys.
Yeah,
but they're interesting. I'm honestly not sure we'll ever get an M5, so we might just have to end up taking
a
what
mum
we
5.
get. Yeah, no mum 5.
Mum 5.
All right, everyone. So we've got through the review section. If you skipped ahead enough to hear the timeline, we're here. We're at the time of line.
Lines are timing.
So
What?
start with the before times.
Research notes, recording 21, passage 76 from Days of Fire, page 35. Vile things in the ground shall stir, and one called thief, and vagabond, and wanderer, and deceiver rises once more amidst tempest and death. Cursed to be flogged from land to land with no place to rest. He sleeps wrongly for centuries before his punishment finds him. For 3 days he battles the sun and the guardians of the Middle Empire, and the best fruits stolen by the tribe of Mind.
Yeah, so for those of you who are not used to that kind of stuff, that's from a book that's essentially the Book of Nod, but for demon.
Yeah!
It's cool as fuck.
Oh no.
Oh no!
Yeah.
But much like Book of Nod, it also exists within the canon, so if you want to grab extra spooky shit to fuck with your players, I do recommend it.
That is a book your characters could find.
Yes. So, in the before times of the Week of Nightmare, the Ravnos elders and the Methuselahs in India were doing lots of mass embraces of lots of childer to build an army up to fight the Kuai-Jin in their millennia-long beef.
They got beef.
They got beef, they got pork, they got chicken. It's a whole thing.
Do they have lamb?
Probably. I'm just making myself hungry for curry, I'll be completely honest. Potentially. So.
I'm glad that you answered instead of just moving on.
No, I had to think about it for a minute, and I was like, yeah. So, note I want to have here is some of their numbers within the new burgeoning Ravnos, I don't want to say recruits, but that's the word we're going with. They become so thinned out generationally that parts of India and their neighboring regions just become flooded with thin bloods.
Ooh.
Oh, great.
It becomes a whole big problem.
So you could argue that this maybe all happened because there were so many Ravnos-born thin bloods
That is part of it, and we'll get into it.
Okay.
Oh, me, oh, my.
So, Sunday, June 27th, 1999.
Before the Ravnos went mad, I had a dream. I dreamed that a king walked out of a mountain. He had 10 arms and 10 heads. He cut off his heads one by one, and his remaining heads swallowed them. Then a tiger, a dragon, and some kind of bird, a stork maybe, attacked him. Finally, the sun came up, and they all burst into flames. When he died, really, truly died, something broke in all his descendants, and they went mad.
So, fun thing about that quote, there's a whole presentation given by a Thin Blood in the Time of Thin Blood book to teach other Thin Bloods how to be a Thin Blood.
Nice.
Which, if you're wanting to build up some stuff for your Thin Blood characters in 5th Ed, I definitely recommend the Time of Thin Blood book. There's a bunch of cool notes. The back half of the book is all Week of Nightmares stuff if you just want to, like, tell your players not to read that for your game.
Word.
All right, so.
I did have a question.
Yes.
It said all of his descendants mad. I know we talked about it a little bit last episode. Is it just the Ravnos, or would it have been the Thin Bloods that came from Ravnos as well?
That can be left up to player or a storyteller does like discernment, because
Okay.
the Ravnos definitely during the Week of Nightmares go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Do the Thin Bloods?
I
like Cocoa Puffs.
They honestly, I'm a little bit more of a Cocoa Pebbles girly though. I'll own that.
They don't stay crunchy quite as long for me.
I gotta eat quick.
My character, who was a Ravnos and survived the Week of Nightmares, I came back and everyone, let's just say you gaslighted me, and I just sat down and all of a sudden everyone was playing D&D with no explanation for an entire session. And it wasn't until afterwards that someone told me what was really going on that you guys had done while I was a bit mad.
Hallucinating a bit. Yeah. So.
It was fun, though.
Yeah. So we have Monday, June 28th, 1999.
The king woke up, he calmly said. He woke up hungry, Doctor. Now he's eating all of his children. And his grandchildren. They don't like it, but they can't escape his dreams. He paced anxiously at the doctor and the orderlies. You're not hungry, are you? 'Cause if you are, I'm not family. Time of Thin Blood, page 116.
So, Zapathasura wakes up on a
That's
Monday.
a good nap.
That's a good nap.
That's a good nap.
Just, just woke up with a case of the Mondays. Sorry, that was just the most unhinged way
I mean,
I could put that, but that's kind of what happens.
What was it? Monday, you can fall apart.
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, break my heart.
Yeah. So,
Thursday doesn't even start.
interesting thing with him getting up is it seems vampire death is what stirs the ancients. It's left a little hard within the canon to decipher if it's the mass slaughter of Thin Bloods in the field of battles, as well as by the swords of the Camarilla sheriffs and scourges, or if it's just the right amount of Methuselah blood being spilled because of also the battles, or a combination of the two.
so it's not just the Thin Bloods existing, it also might be them dying.
It could be them being killed. Could also be just the right amount of Methuselahs also dying because they're so close, or some weird combo. It's left a little to interpretation, but it seems like if enough vampires are being murdered at the same time, somebody's grandpa is going to wake up and be very angry.
Wait a minute, aren't all the vampires going out to fight a big war in the Middle East right now?
Yes, and other places in the planet. The technocrats are trying to stop us from spreading the truth again.
I won't do it.
Just an
By do it, I mean stop.
There you go. I just thought it was an interesting note that in V5 canon that, all the old vampires are going out to war, and if a certain amount of Methuselah blood spills, people start waking up.
Yeah. As well as just the Camarilla having that, decree of slaughtering all the Thin Bloods.
Whoops.
Huh.
Hey, I doubt anything's gonna come of it.
No.
I mean, the antediluvians aren't real, so it's not like we have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's not like anybody's doing accelerationist policies or anything like
No.
that. Not at
That's
all.
just Sabbat propaganda.
That's just propaganda. Propaganda, though.
That is a band.
That is a good band. Anywho, so Zappathura, when he pops up, starts devouring any of his childer within reach. He
I
woke
wonder
up
what his arm span is.
hangry. Well, considering the descriptions of him show 10 arms, probably pretty well. I mean, that doesn't necessarily make them wider. It's just more.
Yeah,
It also could be just a trick of the chemistry.
Yeah.
it's true.
Oh, God.
Or maybe a metaphor.
Could be a metaphor. Chemistry makes you think he grabbed you with his long arms and he's just like slowly walking towards you.
Right.
You
You're
know,
like,
there's-
oh no, I can't get away. And he's like, yeah, totally, you can't get away for sure.
Trick of
Just
the light.
slowly putting on a bib.
Yeah.
It's like a lobster bib, but instead of a lobster, it has like a little cartoon Dracula on it.
Hell yes.
Oh, that's so dumb. Such
I'm
a dumb
in.
joke. All right, so it is also left open to interpretation if he just consumes them outright, just flesh, bones, and all, or through the power of his blood, he destroys their minds and souls first and then uses them all as Capri Suns.
That's probably it.
Both of those are horrifying.
Yes.
Yes, could be a combination of the two. I don't know. Who knows? Chemistry is a hell of a discipline.
Especially when you get to antediluvian levels of...
Of the guy who maybe
Disciplines.
made up the discipline to begin with.
And also, I think it's fair to note that in Old World of Darkness, all the antediluvians had a 10 dot ability of their discipline that's literally... I can't remember the word they used, but it's basically just like, whatever the story needs, they can do it.
I think
Yeah.
it just says plot device.
Yeah, plot device, that's what it's
Yeah, it's the equivalent of the joke sheet for Kane where it just says "get fucked,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, that's fair. You know what? That's fair. So, any and all of the entities that have supernatural ties to any sense of the cosmic will also sense the cosmic shift of an antediluvian waking the fuck up. So it's not just the vampires, it's not just mages, it just anyone who has any kind of, I can maybe see through planes of reality, even if it's just like a guy who witnessed something fucked up once and then through his own terror forgot about it for a bit.
Mm.
This could borderline reach out, I know we've talked about it, to other tabletop games that are technically canonically connected to World of Darkness. There's a chance that this is such a big enough event that people might just be like, something happened in the universe that wasn't good.
Yeah, to go along with that, this sense of, there's something wrong, did I leave the gas on, that kind of thing, is canonically noted as being sensed not only on our main plane, but also within the Umbra, the Shadowlands, and the Abyss simultaneously.
Get it.
So all of them were just like, everybody just turned and went, uh-oh.
This seems bad.
Yeah.
There's at least one guy in Ars Magica who's just like,
Oh, shit.
damn it.
It's just like, I feel like I forgot something. And it's horrifying. Anyways.
Can't do anything about it now.
So, any conscious being that can perceive beyond base matter gains a sense of doom or something wrong in all of the planes. And I'm like,
So everyone in the world was feeling real bad that day.
yeah. Just anyone who has any kind of like a actual sense of any magic, psychic, aspects-y, anything.
You feel like Demon feels that way?
Oh,
or are
yeah.
they kind of like, this is going to be a fucking party?
Yeah, no, the demons were in the behind their gate, just like rattling, just being like, it's happening.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Also kind of depends on the demon. Demons are weird. They're kind of
Oh,
they're
yeah,
not
they have
all in
some that are
agreement.
like, I want to redeem myself. Yeah.
Well, you can't do that if you're in the box, now can you?
Well, get out of that box, buddy. Think out of the box,
They
brother.
can't.
Jeez.
They're thinking out of
Quite
the box, but
literally
they
think
can't.
their way out.
They can't be out of the box. Not
No.
yet.
They're
Not
working
on
on it.
Monday.
They're not on.
Not on Monday. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
And Friday, I'm in love.
Uh,
I had to finish the lyric. I'm
no,
sorry.
I appreciate you. So, many of these visions center around some sort of a demon king, a king in the mountain, or some entity that looks like Ravana, Lord of the Rakshasas, and King of Sri Lanka, which is like a classical Rakshasa, so it's like some sort of tiger demon thing.
Hell yeah.
It's dope as fuck. If you ever get a chance to read any of the Ravana or Rakshasa mythology, go do it. It's all metal as fuck. All of the research for Ravnos has just made me quadruple down on Ravnos as the most metal clan, and I will fight you on this hill. So, along with seeing whatever this demon king of the mountain is, there's also visions that repeat the tiger, dragon, crane trio.
from that earlier quote.
Yeah. Have fun with that as a storyteller if you want to run this scenario. Vampires in particular feel more on edge than usual. Many have nightmares of what is happening, but most are not able to recall the nightmares when they wake up from day sleep. Oddly enough, the Malkavians were no more affected than any other clan, which was the more terrifying note for me. I was like, wait, the Malkavians weren't like pinging into it more than everybody else? Uh-oh, that can't be good.
So, do you think any of them saw it coming, or were they just a surprise? Or are you just saying, like, when it was happening, they were just equally as fucked up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the Malkavians were not like, ooh, they're extra crazy because they're crazy. I'm like, no, this was equally bad for everyone, and they were just as fucked up as everything else. If anything, everybody else is having to step up to Malkavian levels of like, uh-oh.
Get good, scrubs.
I would also argue that that's terrifying, but for the opposite reason.
Mm-hmm.
If we go back to our Malkavian history, like one thing was noted about them in times of chaos, they tended to be the ones sitting on the hills watching as the cities burnt and laughing.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not laughing, that's more bad than them just being like their normal level of bullshit.
Yeah, if every Malkavian turns to you and goes, do you smell toast? And you go, yeah, I also smell toast.
Not good.
Bad times. Adding also to the bad times. Chemistry powers become far more powerful, but also unwieldy.
Oh.
Because Dad woke up.
Yeah.
And turned everything on, so you're just like, ugh.
Damn, chemistry's great. I'm gonna make a baseball. And then it's like a flaming baseball that explodes. It's a grenade.
Yeah, you just made a grenade.
It's just shaped like a baseball.
Exactly. So then we have Tuesday, June 29th, 1999.
Avaunt thee, Satan, and thy harlot with thee! The pamphleteer roared. Lights blazed around the cross. Reeking flames burst around Johnny. He leapt away from the hellfire, frantically slapping at his scorched legs. The mundanes couldn't do this. Johnny ran. At least Aranwi ran with him. The other changelings scattered too, lashed by the street preacher's fury. Behind them, cries of joy, surprise, and terror arose as the other mortals found their dreams coming true. And their nightmares. Time of Thin Blood, page 117.
So yeah, it keeps getting worse, guys.
That's rad.
Yeah.
The dreaming literally becomes the real.
Yeah.
That's not good.
That's like metal, but also, oh no. Because, yeah, just imagine you're just like having this sense of dread and they wake up the next day and you're just like, hey, so a bunch of guys just like are collectively hallucinating, but but now the hallucinations are manifesting in the real world. Like, what is the masquerade anymore? Like, what are we doing? Holy shit.
Masquerade's on pause for now.
Yeah. On top of just, all of the other just wackadoo, just what is happening?
And like we said, we haven't talked about Changeling too much,
Mm-hmm.
but if you know anything about the dreaming, if it's just manifesting in the real world, that's really, 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 really bad.
It also throws consensus out the window, so who knows what the mages are doing now?
We'll find out, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so then we got Wednesday, June 30th, 1999.
What is that? One of his passengers shouted. It's a storm, stupid. Stepperfelt muttered. That's why they call this the Tempest. Then he saw what his passenger meant. 4 enormous, transparent figures fought above the sunless sea and sent waves of turbulence in all directions. Stepperfelt wrestled with the rudder as he tried to turn the skiff. A flash of brilliant light distracted him. The man-tiger held a javelin of white flame and hurled it at the center figure. An enormous black shield appeared on the man's arm, and the burning javelin exploded against the shield.
Yeah, so on the Wednesdays when the Huaijin show up and crack knuckles in unison, the 3 bodhisattvas, yeah, which is like the biggest boys you can have of Huaijin, just roll up and they're like, all right, homie, we're gonna fight this out.
Let's go.
Them and Zap.
Yeah, then I'm zappy. I like to feel like it's very, just imagine every metal album cover you can.
That's a lot of cannibalism.
That's, yeah, that's what's, yeah, you're not wrong, actually.
Cannibalism. There's a lot of horses.
Yeah, a lot of
Some
skulls,
spikes.
a lot of blood.
A lot of dorks.
A lot of dorks.
A lot of dorks. So much makeup.
I think you're falling into the black metal
Oh.
section of your brain, my
My
dude.
bad.
I'm sorry.
My bad.
But yeah, just every sword and sorcery, every kung fu movie, like, it's happening, guys, it's happening. And this battle is further, not only intense, but also further increases the power of chemistry. So it becomes an uncontrollable wave of rage and madness, and frenzies are constantly happening throughout the entire clan, basically at the drop of a hat.
Dang. They're like, I'm going to make a baseball. It's a grenade. They're like, God fucking damn it!
Yeah, it's just, there's a lot of descriptions of Ravnos whilst this battle is happening, like, trying to maintain their chill, and they're just overcome with these inhuman levels of rage, and are just like, I'm going to destroy everything I love, because fuck you.
This is one of those, if you have a Ravnos you love, stake them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For their own safety.
Just put them in torpor. Like, and put them in a box. That's the best you're going to be able to do for them.
That's awful.
Mm-hmm. Because he's going to be vibrating. He's so angry, but he's torpored, so he can't do anything. You're just like, he needs advanced floor time, guys. I don't know what's happening. This is, we're going to call it Oofa Doofa. And also, I'm going to point out, fun note that was given to me from listener Witch Knight Black. This was also a time period where some of the gangrel took advantage of the chaos to eliminate all of their old enemies, basically amounting to a genocide of sorts.
Whoops.
Because they're like, oh, they're distracted?
Get them.
Collectively cracks knuckles. So...
Great job, Gangrel. That's really sweet of you.
That's a good time.
Yeah.
You just could have put your friend in a box and be like, we'll deal with that later. And they're just like...
What if we killed him?
But what if we just hear me out? Hear me out. They're not paying attention.
They're not paying attention.
It's like, you're going to fight him while he's having a panic attack? That's horrifying.
I mean, I guess it makes sense for Gangrel specifically, right? Picking out the weakest of the herd.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And also, the Bodhisattvas summoned large storms to cover the sun so that they could continue their fight with Zapathasura. So this storm will be covered in the news around this time period as a quote-unquote out-of-season typhoon that will cause massive natural disasters with mass casualties.
Whoa.
An estimated 115,600 deaths are due to just the flooding per technocrat estimations in the canon. That's what they write. That's how bad this typhoon is.
Holy
Damn.
shit. And this typhoon, I'm assuming, is...
The magic one that's being summoned.
Well, I'll say it's located kind of around the India region.
It's in the region between where India and Bangladesh touch.
Okay.
I will have more details about that when... It's bad. 5th Ed kind of undersells how cataclysmic the Week of Nightmares is, guys. They really do. But we'll get to that. It's later in the week.
I think part of the idea is so many of the players, it's kind of written from the perspective of new vampires, so a lot just weren't around and wouldn't know, so everything they're getting is secondhand anyway.
Yeah, but I'm like, if you're having typhoons that killed like 250,000 people.
I mean, how many
Yeah.
tragedies happen worldwide that we forget within 3 days on the news?
You know what? Fair. That was my bad. I was holding people to too high of a standard. That was
Quit
my
it.
mistake.
That's like 3 a day.
Shit. Also, the Bodhisattvas tear a rift between the mortal and spiritual plane during their battle, because they're just ripping shit open to be like, well, I need to unleash all of my powers like fucking Goku to take down this antediluvian. So they're just summoning ghosts and spirits and demons and the dead and dreams, and this is what allows their battle to be witnessed on every plane of like cognitive existence.
Cool.
This won't have ramifications at fucking all.
I don't see why it would.
No,
No.
not at all. Except, all the ones we've already discussed.
Well, yeah, I mean, besides those.
For the changelings and the mummies and the werewolves and the wraiths and the demons.
Yeah, like none. No real consequences.
Thursday, July 1st, 1999.
So we got some spirit nukes in the death of Zapathasura.
Bless you.
Now let me take a sip here. All right.
You want to pause?
I'm reading.
Oh,
this
you're...
one.
Ooh, Hunter's
It's
reading.
my turn.
Do you need your throat spray?
I will throat spray. I have competition. I have to be held to a higher standard here.
It is the 100th episode, after all.
See, it's gross.
No, it just hit the back of my throat too fast.
It be like that sometimes.
Oh, it's good though. I can taste that acacia root. All right. Code Ragnarok, a threat to the entire world. If the Weather Shapers could not pierce the typhoon, Chevalier had other ways to bring sunlight to Bangladesh and the things that battled in the storm. He typed more codes, and 600 miles above the Earth, 3 more jet black satellites unfolded to reveal racks of missiles. A few tens of thousands of lives to save 6 billion lives now, and countless billions to come, he told himself. A rational transaction. Time of Thin Bloods, page 119.
Rough.
An incredible flash of light bleached the world into stark black and white. To his amazement, Crow felt the blast with his spiritual sense as well. It felt like the aura around the sacred places of his kind. Every one of the phantoms vanished in the blue-white glare. Then, a roar like a falling mountain hammered against the shaman. In a moment, his dazzled eyesight cleared. A hot new wind blew, prickling with unholy radiation. No, it couldn't be. Another bomb exploded a few miles to his left. Nukes! Spirit nukes! Jesus H. Christ. Now I've seen everything! The next bomb fell very close to him. He only felt a moment of dislocation as his body vaporized, and then his thoughts passed into history. Time of Thin Blood, page 121.
Damn, that shit was brutal. It's my turn!
Mm-hmm. Do you want throat spray?
Yeah, that shit's gross. All right.
It's for the 100th episode.
I hate this shit.
It's soothing, John.
It
from the
burns.
It's from the herb pharmacy.
Why does it burn if
Herb
it's soothing?
farm.
Why does it burn if it's soothing? Soothing things don't burn.
Well, it says right here, I think it's because you're not an active responder.
It's probably true. All right, minutes later, a vaguely human figure staggered toward... Wait, is it unpaused? Yeah. Can you give this one more go?
He just got so excited.
Minutes later, a vaguely human figure staggered toward her through the rain. She guessed it might be male, but could not be for sure. Flakes of black ash covered the remains of its naked, shriveled body. One arm hung as a stump of tattered meat. Hallucinations of pain radiated from it, like the vibrating inner light of a migraine. It had survived the wrath of 3 bodhisattvas and the bath of nuclear fire. Although the thing had no eyes, only sockets oozing black blood, it turned to face the pair. Its fanged jaws worked, and it rasped out, "Blood, feed, hunger." It spoke Sanskrit, an ancient tongue, the ancient tongue of India. The clouds rolled apart from horizon to horizon. A line of 4 suns spanned the sky. The figure screamed as it caught fire in the quadrupled sunlight. The thing ran only a few paces, then fell. That's also from the Time of Thin Bloods. That's 122 there.
Yeah.
So the most terrifying part to me there
Mm-hmm.
is the implication that it took 4 suns and all the nukes and whatnot to take out a antediluvian.
And all the damage from the battle previous to that.
Yeah.
So does that mean that they could normally walk in sunlight?
I mean, it would fucking suck.
Could probably do it, though.
Yeah, horrifying.
I mean, like, think about it. If your mend rate for a rouse check when your blood potency, 3, or not 3. Yeah, 3 is what? 3, 4 superficial, easy?
Mm-hmm.
And that's on 1 hunger?
Yeah.
So if you have blood potency
1 infinite?
Or, yeah, blood potency would
Like
be
9?
9. Yeah.
Oh,
because
yeah, I went
Cain
the
is
wrong
10
direction.
there.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if you have blood potency 9, you just, okay, I just healed 12 aggravated. That's neat. Right?
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah.
I also found it... The technocrats. Speaking of the technocrats, I found it interesting the technocrats identified that the vampires were the largest threat in this whole scenario.
Mm-hmm.
The weirdly lumped Zappathasura and the Bodhisattvas in the same group. So they just went, vampires, quiet, it's all the same, fuck it.
Get them.
Get it. They're
Kind of like me as a teenager looking at the books.
It was just, they're just like, we're just gonna wipe them all out, it's fine. And then when they couldn't stop the typhoon, they were just like, nuke everything with specialized neutron bombs that were designed and developed to deploy higher doses of radiation to kill supernatural beings. So these are like specifically designed neutron bombs to kill supernatural beings.
So they're not even really spirit nukes, they're just extra radioactive nukes.
Yeah, because somehow the technocrats figured out that if you put enough radiation into it, it kills magic, I guess?
Well, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, right? Like, once you get irradiated so far, your healing...
It's just gonna, like...
Yeah, because it's just melting the bits of you.
It's just destroyed your DNA so thoroughly that you're just gonna, like, disintegrate.
Yeah.
Usually not, like, comically fast like it happens in film, if you're gonna go for hyper-realistic nuclear damage, but this is one of those...
It's super nuclear.
We're at the point, we're at the power levels of silly.
Yeah.
Where if you want to have an Akira level, like, nuclear melting... What is it? What is it, Terminator 2? Where they have the scene where the girl's, like, holding on to the chain link fence and the nuke goes off and, like, her skin blows off and then her skeleton blows off. I'm like, if you want to describe it that way at this point...
I'm in.
I'm not too upset.
But he's already missing, like, flesh and eyes.
But yeah, the fact this man survived several nukes, let alone, like, these hyper-specific ones...
Yeah.
That's so horrifying. I'm like, what?
And all he's doing is being like, give me some blood.
Like,
that's all I need right now.
He's clearly got, like, he took a crippling injury.
Yeah.
He lost the arm.
Multiple.
Also,
the eyes exploded out of his fucking skull. Like,
Yeah.
his fucking inside should be liquid.
His skin is ash.
He shouldn't be there. And yet he persists.
He's like, I'm thirsty.
Don't worry.
Put me back in, coach.
Just give me a little drink.
I think a small pack of Spot got it.
Yeah.
They're trying to get the other 12. Easy work.
Oh,
Done.
yeah, done. The spot, they nailed it. Other effects of the spirit nukes. So when Zappathasura dies, every Ravnos hears the death scream.
Oh.
He gives a death scream, and y'all hear it at the same time. I wish. It's described as, like, some of the most horrifying, just blood-curdling rage screams. So imagine, in my brain, I went, the sounds of, like, rabbits screaming? Just imagine that, but somehow angry?
See, I pictured the scene in John Carpenter's The Thing, where they have what's-his-face, and he has the hands, and he turns around, and just like...
That would be good, too.
That,
Yeah.
but, like, 12 of them.
12 of them, and they're all somehow angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anxiety, rage, hunger, and blinding headaches fill the minds of every Ravnos until, well, they can't contain themselves anymore.
Whoops.
And they go into what I've called a beyond frenzy, since they not only have the desire to utterly destroy and rend, they have the desire to commit diablerie, and they are capable of doing it.
Huh.
Which is bananas.
Yeah.
We talked about it in a previous episode, but technically, you're not really supposed to be able to commit diablerie
In a frenzy.
during a frenzy. It has to be, well, you can, but it has to be a choice that you make. It's still a choice you make. It's not like, oh, if you went crazy and ate someone.
Yeah, this is one of the few canonical exceptions. If you want to change this up for flavor text at your own tables, that's fine. But I think that makes the situation sound more horrifying to be like, no, diablerie is something you have to consciously decide to do. But the death of, your antediluvian is such just a globe-spanning traumatic thing that you are in your fits of fear and rage and everything are still capable of doing that horrifying act. I'm like, yo, what now? Hold up. Ookie spooky. Not a good time. This Beyond Frenzy will continue on for another 3 to 4 nights.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, huh?
Yeah, back to Monday. The listener cannot see this because it's an audio-based medium, but in the script, I did that smiley face where it's the colon and a space and a big capital D. Just, hey.
Based on what we've said earlier, too, I know I said, if you have a friend and you care about them, put them into torpor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if we get into it, but I'm pretty sure from what I do know about this time period, even if they are in torpor, they would still be feeling the death scream. Like, they would be they would be torpored and conscious enough to recognize that this is happening and probably still feel all these destructive urges. They just physically can't do anything about it. They are trapped in their body while this is happening, unmoving.
Yep.
But feeling all of this.
Yep.
An actual play series that I'm in called Blood and Jazz. There's a Ravnos in our party who was alive for the Week of Nightmares, but he was trapped in a box in the bottom of a bay, if I remember correctly. So he was under so much water in the dark in a box by himself.
Staked or just in the box?
He's just in the box.
Oh, that's not good.
And yeah, he's not. That might have knocked some screws loose on him, which is fucking understandable. But
being in box time is never fun.
Box time's never fun, but this is one of those times where I'm like, box time?
Probably for the best.
Probably one of the kinder things you could do other than just mercy killing them if that's what they would want.
Yeah.
So, of the Ravnos who survive, they tended to be younger, ergo, like higher, more separation between them and dead dad. And also, Ravnos within the Sabbat. For some reason, those guys statistically tended to be a little bit more chill.
I guess
and survive better.
I mean, I guess they were planning on this to happen, for most of them at least.
I wonder how much of the Vinculum helped.
Yeah.
Vinculum could have helped. There might also, because the Sabbat does encourage vampires to be more in tune with their bestial nature, they may have had more practice at handling shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
The books don't really go into why that is. They just specifically know, Ravnos and the Sabbat statistically did better than everybody else.
Like, just this massive fury blew through them, and they were just like, don't you think I know that?
They're just like, the time is now!
Let's go!
And maybe it just made them incredibly happy. And so like, cool, I'm gonna go chill. I'm gonna enjoy this feeling.
Yeah.
And then the lawn chairs.
Yeah, and then for the younger Ravnos, they might have just been separated enough from Zapathasura that his angry death rattle that rang throughout the entire clan just didn't hit them as hard.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, it was a bad time, but like, phew.
God, I have a headache. All right, well, let's go.
Just like, man, you seem really grumpy. Are you okay? I'm fine.
Dad's dead. It's fine.
Why is everyone freaking out? I still have to go to work. Has to like punch in as time is working as a fucking carny.
Ugh.
Just anyways. So other things that happened also. The dreaming is nearly destroyed in this area.
All right, then.
Which is spooky.
That's
wild. I cannot understand how crazy that is.
The fact that can happen.
Can happen is spooky. You're just like, oh, there was so much horrifying violence and destruction on the material plane that it just almost completely destroyed the concept of whimsy.
Rough.
Fuck. So what ends up being left is the birth of the Naraka. So this is changelings come in a variety of types. A lot of them tend to be culturally based because that's how different people express whimsy. So the Naraka are changelings that have lost all sense of themselves. They wake up to a world covered in blood and destruction. So yeah, imagine that the destruction was so bad that you're like reincarnated, terminally remembering your sense of self as a fantasy character just gets Etch-a-Sketch deleted. And then what is there, is basically Kali, the Hindu goddess of like destruction and motherhood, comes along and goes, oh, hello, my little Etch-a-Sketch babies. I see you got some smooches on you. Let me clean your face up.
It would make sense with all the destruction happening for her as an existing creature. If you're going to canonically make her real, she would be there and enjoying it.
If you're running a game that has the dreaming in it, I don't know if it is the goddess Kali Ma or if it's just an entity that is made up of the concept of her.
Yeah, Changeling gets complicated.
Yeah, it gets weird. You can kind of run it both ways.
She could also exist because enough people believe in Kali that she consensuously exists because there's a whole mage tradition around that too.
Yeah, and there's also just
a combination of both of those things.
Little combi. But yeah, so these changelings kind of act like her children, so they become agents of chaos and destruction with the desire to prevent those terrors from happening again to others. They're like a combination of innocent and unaware of the world, how it works in the material world and the dreaming. It's really fucking metal. It's a cool thing to look up. I don't know really what to do with it in 5th ed outside of hey, storytellers, if you want to chuck one of these things in and as an NPC, if it's appropriate for your story, you can look into it. But other than that, I don't know what to tell you because it's not really a good stat block for changelings. There's not really many at this point, so... Fae there are, though. So if you wanted to stack Kali, I guess you could, but that's also like a weird leap for your tabletop. Anywho, another thing gets fucked up. The Umbra is destroyed in this area, though.
Oh, no.
Like, actually destroyed?
Yes.
Huh.
I cannot undersell. The Umbra gone.
That's also wild.
Also horrifying. You're just like, the spirit realm got nuked out of orbit by the spirit nukes? Shit.
Does that mean enough radiation can destroy the Umbra?
I feel like if you have, like, demigods fighting...
I guess that probably, yeah.
On top of the spirit nuke... Well, there was also many, at least 6. I guess.
They did say that the Bodhisattva and Zappos the Thursa were specifically tearing these planes apart in the area anyway during their battle. So this area was already damaged by them. It wasn't just the nukes that did it.
So, like, they tore doors into the Umbra. They were like, I need this shit. I don't have time to do it the soft way. Tear open door.
Yeah.
So door is stuck open, then they super nuke things. Door is open.
Yeah.
It gets super nuked through door.
Yeah.
Brutal.
That's how I would imagine, because I know we have not talked about it, and we will someday talk about an incredibly depressing Wraith book. But
yeah.
I think typically when like a nuke goes off, it only affects we'll call it the material, our plane that we're all on.
There will be damage on the other sides reflected, but there's not like...
It's a reflection of and it's not like directly damaged.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the holes that their swords and summonings and all created, just let it pass.
Yeah, just
right through.
Basically, so instead of having a dark reflection on the other side, the mirror shattered.
Right.
It's kind of the best way to explain it, I think, which is horrifying. Because in the canon of the Time of Thin Blood books, it describes that there are Guru who say that the devastation in this area was so thorough that nothing of the Umbra exists in it still.
Damn.
And I'm like, oh, that's... What? And while this quote-unquote last battleground, which is like a setting thing, so if you want to run this encounter, search up Last Battleground. It is a potential plot line in the previous apocalypse setting for Werewolf. There is some evidence through W5 that this might be validated as a thing that could be happening in your game. I have a little quote. Tonight, the Umbra itself seems to recoil from the Guru, or perhaps even to repel them. The spiritual boundary known as the Gauntlet has itself become more difficult to cross than it was in the past. Perhaps this growing impermeability is the legacy of werewolves having failed Gaia, or perhaps it is a simple response mechanism to the cruelties happening in the physical world. The shadow trying to tear itself away from that which casts it. W5 Core Book, page 28. Because I was just like, wait, can you actually get rid of the Umbra? So I was like digging through the 5th ed book just to kind of see what it said. And I was like, in the light of Week of Nightmares, what is happening in the Umbra makes a little bit more sense. The way it's being written for 5th ed. You're just like, oh.
Uh-oh.
This might have caused like a wider ripple effect starting where this battle happened and has just echoed out throughout the entirety of the Umbra.
Essentially, things are crumbling and collapsing from that spot kind of thing?
That could definitely be one of many factors that's causing it, I would say, for sure.
Nasty.
The other implication there is equally terrifying, which is things have gotten so bad on Earth that literally the spirit world is like, we're gonna go do our own thing over here.
Just nope.
You guys can't, good luck. That, in the sense, the shadow trying to tear itself away from that which cast it.
Right.
Which is like your mirror reflection basically saying, hey buddy, things aren't going well, I'm gonna go.
Get out.
Good luck, babe.
Horrifying.
Peace.
Horrifying.
What is also horrifying is the mortal toll.
The death toll among the masses was regrettable. Of course, with an estimated 1.3 million casualties. Most of these, the report said, were caused by vampires and other rampaging beasts throughout the region. Skalaveshi skipped over the statistical breakdown of the deaths by direct assault, induced homicidal or suicidal mania, paraphysical contagions, or collateral damage. The typhoon caused an estimated 115,600 deaths by purely natural means as it flooded Bangladesh. As they were designed to do, the bomb's airburst caused serious property damage and death only in the immediate vicinity of the blast, while still slaughtering the supernatural creatures many kilometers distant. Only 60,800 Bangladesh had died from the explosion and radiation. Time of the Thin Blood, page 123.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Holy fuck.
That's
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, based on those death tolls, I'm like,
Ow.
guys, Week of Nightmares should be a little bit bigger of like a thing in the canon.
Yeah, earlier I was like, a typhoon, people forget about natural disasters all the time. This, though, little more serious. A little bit making more than just the nightly news once or twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a bit. But we'll talk about a little bit for Friday, July 2nd through Sunday, July 4th, 1999.
Atreus squared his shoulders and slowly walked to the massive stone coffin in the middle of the chamber. He pushed aside the lid of the master's tomb, then stopped. The other 6 froze as well. There, in the chamber, 500 feet below the streets of Vienna, they heard a muffled coughing sound from within the sepulchre, and a gout of blood vomited forth, splashing against the ceiling. Atreus stepped back. I think he already knows, he whispered. Together, the 7 shut the doors, locked them, and began the long walk back to the surface. Time of Thin Blood, page 123.
I'm sorry, the first time I read that, I just couldn't stop cackling. I thought that was very funny.
Yeah.
That is wild. I love just...
He's like,
I think
well...
he already knows.
Yeah.
I think he knows.
We can leave.
Could I ask whose, do we know whose coffin they were at?
That's Tremere's.
Okay.
Lol.
Just wanted to make sure.
Worm Daddy.
Lol.
Marcus Vittel slammed his fist against the table.
That's enough! I will not roll over and bare my throat to anyone, not to Cain himself. Back in the Anarch Revolution, the Tzimisce and the Sombra supposed to destroy their antediluvians. They could do it. So can we.
The princes sat silently for a long moment. Francois Villon eyed Vittel.
Never mind that. What do we tell the other kindred? This concludes the Elysium. Oh, by the way, the antediluvians are real and waking up. First item on the agenda for the next meeting will be preparing for the end of the world. I think not. We'd have a riot.
We say nothing. We tell only our Primogen, other princes we can trust, and the Justicars. Revealing the truth to our lessers would only frighten them. What's worse, the news would make the Sabbat seem more credible. We maintain our authority only to the extent that we are feared. If our childer fear the antediluvians more than they fear us, they will cease to obey. Bid your sheriffs and scourges to crack down harder than before. We will have order. And while we distract the childer with purges, we will seek ways to kill our progenitors. And build impregnable shelters for ourselves. If worst comes to worst, we throw our childer to the ancients' fangs and hope that satisfies their hunger. I prepared for a nuclear war. Could Gehenna be worse?
If any of the other princes thought so, they found it prudent not to answer. Except for Villon, who whispered, "Again?"
Yeah, so I just thought it was fun that, there's a secret group of the Camarilla princes that ran into the situation with Ravnos and then decided amongst themselves, like, we need to start covering this up immediately, because if the Youngers find out what they could do and what could be coming, that's just gonna fuck everything up.
That would be bad. I also imagine it would not benefit them well for all the young people to go, like, maybe the Sabbat have a point.
Yeah, that would be bad if they're like, oh, the Sabbat have a point, the Camarilla have been lying to us about the antediluvians existing, let alone all this other shit. Yeah, and it just is extra funny in the canon for V5 because Marcus Vitel publicly goes, "Fuck this shit. I'm done pretending to be a Venture. I'm a La Sombra, by the way, and I'm also going to take Washington, D.C. as my own little anarch-free state. Fuck you guys." So I don't know what the fuck happened there.
Something happened.
Something
that
happened.
spooked him enough to change sides after all that, which is crazy.
Which is crazy, because he had a very thorough stranglehold on the Camarilla. So yeah, now we get to a little bit of time in the future. So Thursday, July 15th, 1999. Or some months later. I hate that the book was like, we have an exact date for this. Also, maybe we don't.
Cool.
I was just like, God fucking damn it. So
I suppose it could be one of those things where, because these are all technically like things you could run at your table, they could end differently, which could push that date around a little bit, potentially.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. This is also one of the few canon events ever in the World of Darkness timeline where we have actual dates for things and a timeline. So I'm just like, we got it, and we're stepping off the train. Here's where we step off the train. So there is the Red Star. It is also referred to as Wormwood, Anthelios, Telos, Mirzaba, Eye of the Demon Emperor, Eye of Apophis, Eye of Balor, Eye of the Worm,
Hell yeah.
or 28978 Axion.
My guess is that's the technocrat name.
That's actually the NASA-designated scientific name for this entity. It does exist in the real world and in canon.
Neat.
This portent of end times has been witnessed across all the splats, and actually seeing it initially was limited to only those with supernatural senses.
Nice.
This celestial object has been noted as a possible comet in the lore, but it is also a possible dwarf planet orbiting in the Kuiper Belt that periodically becomes more visible. It could be just a coincidence, or it could be a portent of doom, because it seems to show up when there's giant catastrophes on Earth.
Whoops.
It could just be times a flat circle. This just happens to be here when shit goes to fuck.
I mean, shit is kind of always going to fuck, to be fair.
Yeah, it's spicidly even more to fuck, the living in interesting times parts of fuck, not just everyone has diphtheria kind of fuck.
That's fair.
This next note here specifically is interesting, though.
Yeah, in the canon, it is noted that the death of Ravnos did not cause the Red Star to appear, but it does appear after the event happens.
Kind of late there, bud.
It almost makes me feel less like the Red Star is bringing destruction, and more it appears after great times of it's trauma or bloodshed.
Hey guys, this mass act of violence actually important.
Remember this one? Meanwhile, the Umbra is fucking gone.
Yeah, just
thanks, bud. We were gonna totally forget.
Yeah.
Just remember, dreams are real now.
Yeah, right.
But I also witnessed you guys kill a portion of it. So, good job. All right. So we fall into the aftermath. Along with the media coverage sharing that the typhoon cover story of just man, that was weird. Global warming, I guess.
Whoops.
The media also reported the collateral damage of the battle as a military conflict between India and Bangladesh.
Interesting. That's a major historical event that
probably should be acknowledged in the canon a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. If they do a Vampire the Masquerade TV show, at least want somewhere in the background have a documentary about a fake war between India and Bangladesh.
That'd be fun.
Just the India Bangladesh war truthers.
Yes.
No one's gonna believe them because they're just they're seeming extra crazy, but they're like, actually, I have the notes, I have the documents, and it's
true.
Just
that's one of those fun things you can have a Malkavian say, where everyone's like, "Oh, you're crazy," but he's right. And she's like, "There was no India Bangladeshi war. It was all made up. They were covering up a greater tragedy," and everyone's just like, "Oh, buddy,
you silly guy."
And then they're like, "Oh, buddy, you knew."
Yeah, so little fun fact. So the region where this conflict happened in the canon is said to be between Kolkata, India, which is the capital city in the state of West Bengal with a population of 12.8 million people as of 1999. And Dhaka, Bangladesh, I hope I'm saying that right. I've never said this word out loud before in my life. Which is the nation's capital of Bangladesh with a population of 9.86 million people as of 1999. And it says that this region between the two major cities was almost entirely wiped out of people and depopulated. Woof. Now, much like major cities next to rural areas, it's big population center, not a lot of people, big population center. So, but yeah, I'm just guys, there were that many people. around where this happened. What do you mean no one collectively remembers what the fuck happened? That's wild.
Trauma's a weird thing.
Trauma's a weird thing. Also, the technocracy's a weird thing.
Also, that is true.
That is also true. So we also have the 6th Great Maelstrom and the Avatar Storm.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Is that like a storm with a bunch of blue people?
Kinda. So after the Week of Nightmares kicked up the Tempest into violent storms and the great battle that was waged in Stygia, for those who pay attention to Wraith, where forces from the Dark Kingdom of Jade, which is basically... So the Great Tempest got kicked up into a big maelstrom.
Okay, yeah.
And during the storm, there was a big war in Stygia with an invading force from the Dark Kingdom of Jade. So this is basically Western Wraiths versus Eastern Wraiths. There's a lot of West versus East stuff in the previous World of Darkness stuff. I am not saying this was demonstrating any kind of economic anxiety or anything, but moving on.
It's like having dinner with my grandma.
What?
Just constantly worried about China.
Yeah. This battle unfortunately ends as a messy draw with both sides suffering massive casualties within Wraith. That's a different episode. Dealing with casualties in Wraith is a fucking episode.
The dead die again.
Yes. And while that was happening, the city of Enoch, yes, that one from Vampire, was being attacked by the Dark Kingdom of Sand, which is where mummies in the Egyptian pantheon is. So while there was a ghost war, there was a vampire mummy war happening at the same time.
I wonder how Setites felt about that.
Cool and not cool at the same time.
They're like, this is so dope. I really
This
don't
is
wanna
everything I was fighting for.
Yeah.
This is everything we've been fighting for. Guys, we're doing it.
Look, it's actually set. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So that's also crazy. I know we've always kind of like, it might be real. Enoch is real. It's a real.
Enoch's real.
location.
The ancients hid it in the fucking Shadowlands.
And then the mummies.
Because of Akanu, which is like a super secret dark sect that's like within the Sabbat. It's basically like a Russian egg cup thing with the Sabbat in the Sabbat and the Sabbat with the black hand.
Yeah, the Sabbat.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of different Sabbat. Is the secret to the Sabbat is there's like 5 Sabbat.
He smacked me in the Sabbat, and little did he know I was wearing a smaller, smugger Sabbat underneath it. That's how it feels sometimes to me. But yeah, so in this telling, if that's something you want to go with the in the canon, Enoch is also destroyed by a spirit nuke.
At least the mummies probably came back.
Mummies were stoked. Yeah. It's very just like, what? And while this was happening, there was a technocrat named Xerxes Jones who planted yet another nuke near the threshold where Oblivion is within the labyrinth. So those who don't remember, when we talked about the Abyss, it's in layers, like a parfait. So you have the Skinlands, and Shadowlands, and then you have like where the Tempest is, and then you have the Labyrinth, and at the center of the Labyrinth is where the Abyss is.
That's what the gate is, right?
Yeah, that's where the gate is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. For some reason, Xerxes Jones, one is a fun-ass name to say, Xerxes Jones. It's fun to say.
That's
but
where
this,
Oblivion powers
yeah,
come from.
so this dumb fuck was like, I'm going to be taking my Void Engineer ship and and just plant a nuke here at the edge of Oblivion. What the fuck is the worst that could happen? So because the nuke went off in Enoch, the blowback from that set his nuke off, and he dies. But that between that nuke, the 2 nukes, and the storm and everything, that's when the gate for the demons gets fucked up. And there's enough cracks in it that little baby demons escape, and they start inhabiting people on the planet.
So technically, the game doesn't kick off till this happens?
Yeah, basically.
Awesome. Also, I have so many questions.
Yes!
Is there like a reason why he was just putting it there? He wasn't planning on blowing it up, it seems. It went off on accident, or was he just going to blow it up later?
I think he was going to blow it up later. Okay, let me tell you, at this point in my research, I was so balls deep into just the amount of fuckery that happens in World of Darkness because a technocrat has at least 1 nuke.
Yep.
I'm just like, these guys are the worst.
Yep.
These guys are the fucking worst.
I think I in the back of my head, I've always had a bit of a rule. Mm-hmm. And I think now is a time in this game specifically that you should bring it to your table. Unless your game involves interplanetary galactic warfare, no one can have a nuke. If an ability would allow you to acquire a nuke, you cannot have a nuke.
That's
Even
fair.
if you find a way to get 7 dots in resources and your character is a military general, you cannot have a nuke.
Yeah,
I don't
You
care.
cannot have a nuke.
let me tell you. So
Unless we're playing like a Star Wars game where you're guiding a fleet of ships and you're going to attack another planet, unless it's like that level of combat, you cannot have a nuke.
I concur. Yeah, because
And
that
I
will.
wanted a nuke.
I will. Okay, here's the thing. I promised I wouldn't.
What's this meatsy gonna do with a
I
nuke?
promised I wasn't going to make a nuke. I promised the LARP staff because I didn't plan this. It's just the way my character ended up statted. We looked at my sheet and went, "Hey guys, Sarah's character could make a nuke," and I went, "Guys, I will never do that."
You cannot have a nuke.
And I went, "Done. That's fine. I don't want to. I'm playing a high humanity character. Why the fuck would I make one anyways? That would be crazy."
Can Pietro have one?
No. I said for Pietro to have one would necessitate me summoning one?
We could make one.
No.
All you would have to do is summon, like, the enriched uranium.
See, that's the part I'm terrified of, is that somebody who's actually playing a bad guy in our chronicle is gonna put these pieces together and then go, I now have to bully Sarah into making enriched uranium and plutonium so that I can destroy Boston.
One of our quote readers, Ashe, was telling me about some of his friends who are writers who have had to create what they call the Ashe rule. And I think this applies to this scenario.
Oh, yeah.
Which is where, unless a power specifically denotes that it gives you explosives, no power can give you explosives. That is a rule that they've had to make for him, and that they have rolled into their own writing. And I think now is a good time to deploy that for everyone. Just if an ability doesn't specifically say you can have high explosives, but it technically lets you have high explosives, you cannot have high explosives. It's kind of like the nuke.
Yeah, that's a good session 0 question, actually. Just what power level of explosives do we want in this chronicle? Because there's some people who want no explosives, and there's some people who fucking love action movies, and they want a lot of explosives, but not a nuke.
I tend to like keep my chronicles where, like, if you somehow get a rocket launcher or a grenade, it's going to be a big deal when it's used, and you probably have one or two.
Valid. I feel like that's a good balance.
That's a good balance. It's like you have the grenade, and then the player is so excited that they have a grenade that they don't use it because they're like, it's not time yet.
It's not.
And then you know they get the twinkle in their eye, and you're like, they're going to use it.
They're going to go,
You know before it opens their mouth, they're like, I have a grenade.
I know what to do.
It's literally the scene in the classic film Van Helsing from 2004 where Carl the monk runs in and goes, "Now I know what it's for. Now I know what it's for." And he sets off the sun grenade.
God damn it.
That movie's great. It's not perfect, but it's great. Anyways, what's not great is a maelstrom. So the maelstrom awoke many powerful entities also within the Tempest who began to consume other beings. As we have mentioned, the gates of the abyss were cracked and demons escaped. Also, Osiris woke up and started a new line of mummies.
Oh, great job, man.
So a little mixed bag. A lot of bad, a little good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're a set type, that was a bad time.
I need to brush up. Is him starting a new line of mummies how they explained a new edition of a mummy role-playing game within the World of Darkness?
Probably.
I
didn't dig that deep. I did not dig that deep, but that's probably what happened.
I'm guessing this is my I'll have to look at the book release. I bet the NPC mummies and the mummy book that was just released as a generic sideline book is what was going to war in Enoch. And then Osiris woke up, and that's when you got your player character mummies.
Most likely. I think that's probably what would happen. But I'm also not the resident mummy expert, so I don't know.
It's me, and I don't know. So
yeah, it's fine.
Just
I need you guys to understand, like, the depths of just, like, WoD lore insanity I was digging into, and then trying to rip apart to edit the script down into a somewhat cohesive timeline. So, the other thing, Avatar Storm. Basically, the great spiritual energy that resided within the gauntlet, is basically what an Avatar Storm is. So there's the veil, and then there's a bunch of energy pockets that are, like, storm-like. That's what the Avatar Storm is. The Avatar Storms are really bad for mages. I'll explain that in a minute. But basically, the Avatar Storms have devastated what is known as the Horizon Realm. And this is the place where tradition mages had existed in a, like, balance with each other. So this is, like, the mage equivalent of everything was peaceful until the Fire Nation attacked. Except the Fire Nation was an Avatar Storm that was kicked up by the fucking Week of Nightmares. So travel to this realm is basically nearly impossible now, and the winds of the storm are drawn to Paradox and can cause a mage to suffer a fate worse than death.
They're essentially torn apart by Paradox.
Yeah, they're torn apart by Paradox, but it's torn apart in the way that, like, being torn apart by a black hole is, where you're constantly being torn apart, but also never being torn apart. It gets really heady and just, it's bad. You'd probably rather can I just be shot?
Yeah.
Can I just be shot?
Because then at least it ends.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Fair. Theoretically.
Which is also not good because the Horizon Realm was kind of a popular place, if I remember properly. So there were probably a lot of mages there when this happened.
Yeah, that got torn apart and are currently being torn apart and will be torn apart by the Avatar Storms forever.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoops.
Big whoops. I do want to give a note, and part of the reason why I'm also just like, the fucking technocrats are the fucking worst. Which I know is a lot to say for a World of Darkness splat. When you research Avatar Storms, there was a branch of the technocrats who worked with the Thule Society to study and research how to weaponize Avatar Storms, and they used a localized one due to the Holocaust that they instigated, because the Thule Society were mages and some other splat stuff, but people, basically secret occult society that worked with Nazis that exists in the canon World of Darkness, so...
The Thule Society was real, they just weren't, like, effective in the real world.
Yeah! No, they weren't. But in the canon World of Darkness, they were super effective.
That's kind of the problem also with a lot of people who think they can actually do magic. Who are also, like, Satanists.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys get real into the Thule Society, Nazi magic stuff.
Get fucked.
There's a lot of crossover there.
Yeah.
That's lame.
There's, like, portions of it where you're learning things, and you're like, oh, okay, interesting history. We should not repeat that mistake. And then you just look over and it's like...
There's one guy who's just like, but what if I wear that shirt and do a ritual there? And you're like, ugh.
Just how many times I gotta teach you this lesson, old man? That was actually a good knuckle crack. I was proud of me. That was good. All right, so moving on. There's also Zapathasaurus Vitae. This is where old canon and new canon kind of split a little bit on what happened as the end result.
Okay.
So if we are picking up from our information of the Week of Nightmares and going into V5, all that's left of the Ravnos Antediluvian were thick streams of his Vitae upon the ground. He is not there, but what's left of his blood splatters is. Apparently some brave and or foolish souls have managed to collect and preserve some of this Vitae. This is the 5-dot lore sheet you can buy for Week of Nightmares. You just get a little vial of Zapathasaurus blood and you decide what the fuck happens with it. You just got this weird magic MacGuffin liquid.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, a thin blood. I want to become...
Well, I don't think...
blood.
I mean, it's antediluvian blood, so I guess if you really wanted to MacGuffin that, sure. But then I guess that would technically make you a second or third gen at that point.
I was about to say,
It would also be watered down by all your...
Yeah, you can kind of run at the speed of plot of this, but it is also a 5-dot lore sheet.
They say that the blood dripping off of Earl Shaggy, people lick it up and go up blood potency. So, like, drinking a vial of Zapathasaurus blood probably would do quite a bit for you.
Also, you just never stop hallucinating the amount of pain. I don't know if
Maybe.
that's that could be a side effect. I don't know. I just feel like that is a ride I do not want the ticket for. I am so good.
Has the potential to be fun.
Has the potential, depending on your game, to be very interesting to explore. Or this is a TPK, we close the ST screen and we gotta write a new chronicle. So depending on how you want to run that. From what little evidence remains, it seems that this blood god has arose from his torpor to seek vengeance against his own childer, and the rage that flowed through his veins on that final night still courses through the vitae of what's left of the Ravens.
Huh.
Which would explain their clan banes.
Mm-hmm.
Woohoo. And in current timeline, boop-a-doop-a-doo, through the 2010s, the 2010s, and now into the year of our Lord 2024 as of date recording time,
Yeah.
we have been dealing with the Beckoning and Gehenna War.
Yarp.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder about their motivations. The Methuselahs. Why they fight the Gehenna War? Why they goad all them sects in the fucked up culture and trying to destroy one another? When you're fighting the Gehenna War, you gotta accept some things you never know. And never get inside the head of a blood god.
Yeah, so final thoughts on the Week of Nightmares?
Sounds like
Terrifying.
it sucked.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a fun time for anyone but maybe the mummies until it wasn't.
And even
fun.
then, it wasn't fun. You're still having to like do
I
a
don't know.
war.
I think it was probably quite a bit of fun for the demons.
That's true. That's true. I hate that my brain imagines that Gade very like Jim Henson Muppets, just like shaking like that is out.
Absolutely.
I guess with Dark Crystal that would still work okay, like for vibes.
I just like it as like the old toy that you could get. That was the like plastic box, and there's a little button, and it shook a whole bunch. She's like, "Let me out of here! Let me out!" And it like vibrates.
Yeah, I had the version of that though where you could put a coin on it. And it would shake, and then you'd like pop up and like grab it and slide it back into his box.
Oh, that's nice.
And it was a piggy bank.
That's cute.
It was very cute.
Mine just shook. Shook and screamed.
I feel like that's somehow imprinted upon you in these days.
Wait a second.
You do a lot of shaking and screaming.
That's not inaccurate, I guess.
So yeah, hi, welcome to Blank Bodies. I just did an episode where we talked about all of the splats. Now, for those of you who are like, but Hunter, here's the thing with Hunter happening at this time. They were very busy, and that's really the only note I got. Except there is something about the imbued something.
Maybe we can talk about this. I might do follow-ups when we do our Hunter and Werewolf in further months.
The things with the imbued during the Week of Nightmares only make sense if you and that thing with the celestial chorus thing that you were talking about in the imbued episode.
The thing that ties
celestial bureaucracy. Sorry,
the thing that ties into another game that they then
ended up not
trying to tie into World of Darkness, and so it's kind of non-canon.
Yeah, so the only notes I got were the hunters were very busy, and then a note about the imbued potentially getting a boosted effect because of things going on with celestial bureaucracy. But it's like, but you guys didn't do that tie-in, so I don't know how canonical this is. So yeah, there you go. I've done it. I talked about all the splats.
I say there, it just depends on what you decide the imbued are if you run with the imbued in your H5 game.
Yeah.
I think it'd be wild to play a hunter that was there, saw enough shit that they used to have true faith, and they were just like, obviously God's not real. Look at all this shit that just happened, and they lose their own true faith.
Damn. Accurate, but damn.
Or the opposite.
Yeah, they gain true faith from it. I think it's a cooler story, though, to just be like, I've lost my faith. And they're like trying to find it back or whatever.
What kind of a loving God would allow?
Exactly. Yeah.
For this wholesale slaughter for one monster. That's insane.
There's also probably, though, a lot of hunters being created, especially, let's say, a lot of imbued being created by this specifically because they, as we talked about in the episode, the imbued popped up when someone encountered the supernatural and they decided to fight instead of flight. So anyone who saw anything happening during this and decided it's time to fight may have become a hunter during this.
I decided to not add these quotes because I was worried that they might be, because this goes out to a general audience, I was worried these quotes were going to be a little triggering for folks. But there are mise-en-scène scenes in Time of Thin Blood that are describing mortals having psychotic breaks during these events. And, like, one of them involved a scene of domestic violence.
Oh.
So I was like, I'm not just going to throw that in willy-nilly.
Yeah.
That's a little much.
Look it up on your own if you're interested.
Yeah, so there could be a yes and to that because there were mortals who were like, had the thinnest amount of psychic whatever. They weren't cognitive of it though, but this event was so like a kick in the dick that it activated them. And they're like, I don't know what's happening. Violence. Right. Violence is the only answer.
Right.
So, yeah.
Whoops.
That if things from the dreaming were becoming real during this time period too,
also
they
spooky.
could have interacted with that, and that could have triggered them. All of the fucking frenzying Ravnos, I'm sure some people saw some of them.
Even the Ravnos who could keep their frenzies under control, their chemistry's just going bananas around them.
Yeah, even if you're not in India where this is happening, there's enough supernatural stuff happening around the world just with vampires and the changelings that the masquerade is gonna be in a bad shape.
And then there's all the stuff going on with the Guru also having the the Umber torn open in a part of the world, and everybody's just like, somebody reached into the Umber and just shook it a whole bunch, so everything's angry.
Yeah, I do like the idea. If people let us know, I do plan on doing Werewolf Month and Hunter Month again because it's become like a little fun tradition. maybe I could dedicate one of those episodes specifically to talk about what they were doing during this week. Like do a werewolf Week of Nightmares episode and a hunter Week of Nightmares, because there is definitely enough to do a whole episode on just them specifically.
Yeah, I was just trying to give us a
a
timeline of what happened, but there was too much happening, so I couldn't just...
This is kind of the 101, but we could follow up with, like, 102s.
Yeah, just so many of the actions happening in the Week of Nightmares are so interlaced with each other, because it basically was like a mega crossover event. So it's hard to isolate shit without having the context of the entirety of it.
No. This also does, I would say, though, toe the line of the mega sort of crossover that most games will never get close to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is all interesting background information, and you can use it as a reason to kick off a plot. But, like, most games are not going to, you now have to fight with every splat because there's, some of Zapathasaurus blood in town. But, if you're like, this could be an excuse to be like, the werewolves are after you because of what you did to the Umbra. Oh, the changelings remember when you made dreams real, and they're really excited about it, actually, and they're asking you to do it again. It's things like that. If you
This is World of Darkness 9/11 before 9/11, so it's kind of a big deal. I feel like there should be a lot of people that have deeper opinions about it in canon. I also just really love the metal as fuck line of... Wake up and welcome Kali, Gehenna is here. And I'm just like, holy shit. That needs to have a really slow... Like, that should be a line drop right before a metal breakdown. Like, that's so good.
Also, I think if you're looking at V5 and you're taking in the old canon, you're saying V5 is still old world, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
The apocalypse didn't happen. It's just started.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind this is likely going to happen 12 more times.
Yeah.
For Gehenna to actually be complete.
It's like Gehenna is happening. That's why we have the Gehenna Wars book now, which has been a delightful read through if people want Sarah's pre-recover cover. And it does a good job of picking up a lot of the implications from this event and kind of running with it, being like, okay, what does that mean in the context of this has to happen 12 more times? I'm just like, fuck.
Interesting. I've not touched it yet.
Technically, it could be 9 more times.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because there are 3 of them in one body right now.
3 in one body. There's some implications that some
are already
of them may have separated from that.
Well, I feel like the event where we kill Malkov's really going to get really trippy because it's like, well, how do you get rid of a concept? Hold on.
Yeah.
We talked about that a little bit. Some of them are barely human anymore. One of them might just be the center of the earth.
Hot nickel ball mommy, let's go.
I feel like in order to kill Malkov, you'd have to kill literally every Malkavian. If he is the Madness Network and they are what props the Madness Network up.
Yeah.
There's either that or a bunch of mages would have to get together with some changelings and kill both the concept and the memory of Malkov so no one remembers Malkov.
And they're clearly going to do it with nukes, because apparently that is the answer every mage has to every problem. It is either nukes or drugs.
It is
Good job, guys.
He is kind of a Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
It is kind of Freddy Krueger situation. The way you forget about, by forgetting about Freddy, you depower him.
Mm-hmm.
Which causes him to get like weaker and you forget about him more.
Yeah. Which means people not believing in the antediluvians might weaken him enough for him to be destroyed.
Oh shit, covering the plot to cover up the antediluvians was also a Sabbat. I removed my smaller smugger Sabbat to reveal an even smaller and smuggerer Sabbat. Son of a bitch! God damn it.
The smugness is so thick.
That's why we have to keep the story of the antediluvians under wraps, because if everyone believes in the antediluvians, the Malkavians are going to get too powerful.
Yeah.
They're going to get on their medications, they're going to start exercising, they're going to drink water.
It's a problem, guys.
And then they are going to take over everything.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, this was a really fun one to do for episode 100. Thanks for listening to us for 100 fucking episodes.
Thank you for putting up with my dumb ass. I appreciate you all.
Wild.
We've done
There's a 1 and 2 zeros.
It's in triple digits, baby.
Go us.
I appreciate the community that we have.
Mm-hmm.
That we usually about 1 hour 45, hour 20 in there, which means that we have over 150 hours of this show out there to listen to.
Jesus
which
Christ.
means if you could listen to this show for a week straight without sleeping, no sleep, you don't have any sleep schedule. You're
Create
on the
your
Uberman
own week of
schedule,
nightmares by listening to us nonstop.
and you still wouldn't finish the show. You wouldn't be caught up to where we are now.
Cool.
Wild. Insane.
That's neat.
Also, thank you to all of our peers and friends and homies that did readings for us for this episode.
Your voices were luscious.
We have notes about them in the show notes. You should check out their work because some of them do cool projects, and you should support their cool projects.
Yeah, I love cool projects.
Projects and cool.
Yeah, speaking of cool projects, thank you, Paralyze, for the music.
Yeah, rock and
Bum,
roll.
bum, bum, bum.
I never get tired of it. We do exist on Instagram at BlankBodiesPod. We exist on TikTok at BlankBodiesPodcast. I have no idea what the plan is with the TikTok once the government decides to take away my clock app. Fuck them. We have a Blue Sky, though.
Yeah, it's mostly me shit posting.
It's honestly fucking delightful. Yeah. I love it. It's a great level of unhinged.
We're somewhere in between a roleplay account, advertising our podcast account, and me just sharing my random whims that pop into my head account.
Yeah. This is what happens when you let the Malkavian be in charge of marketing.
I'm not quite Nutter Butter levels of advertising yet, but I can get there. If you haven't seen what Nutter Butter's been doing on Instagram.
Did you see what Duncan did during Halloween?
A little bit.
With the spider donut?
Yeah.
They definitely influenced me. I definitely bought a spider donut because of those memes. And honestly, it was worth the $2. Not gonna lie, it was a pretty good donut.
$2, that's a good deal for a donut.
It had a little donut hole and it looked like a little spider.
For a special decorated donut, $2. That's not bad.
A little Halloween whimsy.
That's a hard deal to fuck up, is all
And
I'm
if
saying.
you have at least $5, you can donate to our Patreon.
That's true.
That was a weirdly good segue.
Yeah, you can become an ancilla.
Yeah, we have Discord titles for the public community Discord. You do not have to pay to be part of the Discord. You just get a cool little note as showing you're a supporter.
Your name's in a cool color.
Yeah, you also get access to Patreon exclusive chat so that we can talk directly with y'all and get input. And we also have polls to help us decide how we run the show.
And we're taking a little break for the winter after this, but there is a poll up with this episode that will determine our next clan.
Yeah.
So we're putting that up. So when we come back, we'll be able to announce who the winning clan is. So if you want to vote in the next clan, we got a couple left.
And also, are we keeping the Christmas donation tradition?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So if you donate to our Patreon during the month of December, we take all those proceeds and we donate them to a charitable cause. We will announce what charitable cause we decide to give money to. Because giving back is important. Woo. If you also do cool projects and want us to talk about your cool project, Hunter and I and sometimes Skipper participate in an interview series. Hit us up at blankbodies@gmail.com and we can talk to you about an interview.
Yeah, I'll talk to you.
I will only talk to you if you're a real vampire.
That's true.
Imagine if Sam Reed reached out to us, though.
Who's
Okay.
that?
He's the actor that's playing the new Lestat.
Oh, yeah?
That's close enough to a real vampire.
He does a really good job.
Yeah, if you're a real vampire, you play one on TV, we'll have you on the
If you're any of the cast and crew of the new interview series or What We Do in the Shadows, because honestly, if Matt Berry reached out, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, that's true.
It could be a bad vampire show that I haven't heard of, too.
That's true.
It'd just be fun to talk.
Yeah, do you actual plays? Do you write for gaming companies? Do you do things that are not necessarily tabletop, but just kind of goth and cool and spooky? We will talk to you about stuff. Hurrah.
Absolutely.
Also, for those who are going to PAX Unplugged in Philly, I will be there. I'll be running some games and also hanging out. So if you want to say hello and get your convention-exclusive holographic corn tub sticker, come find me. I'll try to be posting on socials to let people know where I am.
Bet you fucking won't.
I'm going to do my best.
No, I'm talking to
them.
To the listener.
Yeah, I might forget on one of the days because I have to run a fucking Hunter the Reckoning game at fucking 7 a.m.
Well, that was your very bad choice.
Eric did this to me. I got fucked over by Werewolf Daddy.
Eric?
Rude. But I am running a late night Vampire the Masquerade game, though, so...
Okay, that's slightly better. But asking anyone to do anything at 7 a.m. is brutal. Anyway, I'm supposed to kiss something, right?
You should kiss something.
Kiss the ring. You went for the water bottle. I can respect that.
I mean, the water bottle dinged his piercing.
Just make sure you do that 100 times to celebrate this episode, and we'll
We gotta give John 100 spankings for 100 episodes. Goodbye.
Ooh, 100 spankings.
Hey, wait a second.
We've now become an ASMR podcast.
I'm probably gonna fade the audio out after a while, but I'm gonna let it go.
I can't get over how consistent the sine waves are for the dings.
I lost count, so...
Oh, I haven't been counting.
Well, you're supposed to do 100 times.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 50. 60? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 45, 46, 70, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Mwah, goodbye.